I am the president of the board of the Hamilton County Leadership Academy. Today, I, along with several members of our board of directors, staff, and supporters of HCLA, are here in the room to ask the county's support for 2018 budget funding. The Hamilton County Leadership Academy has impacted our community for the past 27 years through its training of Hamilton County leaders. In its history, HCLA has graduated over 670 alumni. HCLA has instilled over 98,000 hours of leadership development, training, and community awareness by key community leaders like yourselves to ensure our graduates understand the history of how Hamilton County has developed and how they can play a vital role going forward. You have each played a vital part in our leaders' development, as many of you have been speakers at our class days, and the county has supported HCLA for many years, investing in the ongoing development of Hamilton County leaders. And today, your investment has paid off. As HCLA graduates are in leadership positions all across our county, 70% of our graduates have served or are serving on nonprofit boards across the country or the county. 275 companies have been represented in HCLA classes. So why should the county invest in HCLA going forward? Simply put, because HCLA needs not only your investment, but your partnership in our work. You are key community leaders. And as Lee Fisher, who spoke to the One Zone Luncheon earlier this year, said, our talent is our city, or I'll say our county's dividend, and we must encourage our talent together with our opportunities for progress in our community to happen. Our job working together is to all dream bigger. Today, more than ever in our history, HCLA wants to be a vital partner. As I represent the board, we know that our next executive director will be called upon to help build the bridge, to bring our alumni together with community leaders like yourselves to serve our county. Today, leadership is needed more than ever in our county and in our country. As Hamilton County is faced with serious problems, HCLA is the bridge to bring our leaders together. And our next executive director will serve a pivotal role. HCLA graduates are in service as your volunteer workforce. That's why each of us took an oath. That's why we stepped up. All 670 alumni in current class stepped up because we share one common goal. We love this community, our community, and we wanted to step up to be used for our progress going forward. So today, as president of the board, I beseech each of you to reconsider your support of the Hamilton County Leadership Academy for the 2018 calendar year. This is a time in our history to work together as fellow leaders to move our county forward. Please support the Hamilton County Leadership Academy by granting your support at the $10,000 level for the 2018 budget year. Before I step away, if you look around at this room, many people have been associated with HCLA, they're past alumni, and I would just ask for a show of hands for anyone part of Hamilton County Leadership. Please support HCLA. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you. Any other comments concerning the budget?
Mr. President, I got a couple of notes from the Finance Committee, if there's no other.
Go ahead.
Okay. I met with the auditor. I was a one-man Finance Committee meeting. I wanted to run a couple of things by you guys. I told Robin and Dawn and met with Mike Reuter that I didn't feel like it would be too far. But basically, after they did the final calculation, we needed to move more revenue from reduced the revenue in Highway COIT and put it into the Highway Fund. We had to move some more money than we talked about during our budget hearings. It's kind of swapping one for one. Some more needed to be in one than the other. I thought that was okay. or that would probably be all right with you, and to make the whole thing come in to balance the way we wanted it to, we needed to take, to use money from the trust fund. Rick, you'd brought that up earlier. How much was that dollar number? I'm looking at my notes here. I ain't seeing it. You see it? $1.2 million from our trust fund, which is the money we put aside to cover our own medical expenses. We put it in a saving. We need to use 1.2 of that to bring us into budget. But Donna's run the figures, and that is more than we have more than enough to cover our anticipated expenditures in 18. So we needed to use 1.2 of that to add to it to bring everything into balance. Those two items, the moving of the highway funds and the using of the trust fund money, is the only difference between what we talked about during our budget hearing and what we're going to vote on tonight. That makes sense? Did I lay that out all right?
Yeah,
We're not
that's,
voting on anything tonight, though.
We're not?
It's in 2 weeks.
Well, the final adoption's in 2 weeks, okay. Just so
That's what
you
I meant,
know,
sorry.
that calculation has been changed, is the only thing that's different from what we talked about at budget hearing.
Mr. President, can I ask a question?
go ahead.
As far as if I wanted to make the motion in order to include the funding of the $10,000 for the Hamilton County Leadership Academy, would I make that motion now for discussion, or would I need to amend the agenda?
Madam Auditor?
I think you need to amend the agenda.
Thank you.
Any other public comments on the budget? Seeing none, we'll move on to the regular meeting. Madam Auditor, can I have a roll call?
Close.
Close, yeah, it's closed.
There you go.
Madam Auditor, can I have a roll call, please?
Jeff Hearn,
Here.
Amy Moss Solomony Howell,
Present.
Rick McKinney,
Present.
Fred Glenn,
Present.
Steve Swartz,
Present.
Paul Ayers.
Here.
Brad Beaver.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. Now, this time, we'll at least have a quorum. Mr. Paul Ayers will give the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation.
If you'd bow your head just for a moment, we'll take a few moments to say a little prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for our wonderful country, for this wonderful county that we live in. We ask you to continue to bless us all. We ask for the wisdom here tonight to make fair and just decisions for all those here and for all those that we represent. We ask you to continue to bless and protect all those overseas and here at home that provide for our freedom and our safety, and especially for our first responders here. We pray for all those who have died recently at the hands of innocent people that have died recently, and for their family, and for all those injured, especially the violent act and the senseless slaughter of the victims at Las Vegas. And we'd ask you to please touch the hearts and minds of anyone considering taking innocent life. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we need to read and approve the minutes for the regular session, September 13th, 2017. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Hearing notes from September 13th, 2017. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
At this time, we'll open for any public comments concerning...
Did you want to vote?
I just said all those in favor, aye. At this time, we will open for any public comments concerning the meeting tonight. Seeing none, we'll move on to committee and officer reports. First, we'll start with the president. One thing I want to mention, I do want to recognize our entire council for the job we did in budget hearings. I mean, that was a lot of work, but we all came together and basically brought that thing in the red by quite a bit. So we submitted a very fiscally responsible budget for next year. So
I mean the black.
yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, I better correct that. Submitted it in the black, and I'm very proud of all you guys. We all did, how we came together. You guys did a great job. Also, a few weeks ago, I got a call about the train. I just wanted to mention that. And I headed up to Noblesville. It was a random call I didn't expect to get. There was 1,500 people visited the train that day. So it seems to be that there's a pretty big grassroots movement going on with the train up in Noblesville. So that's something I think the council needs to at least keep an eye on. Also found out that Noblesville has no intention of funding any portion of the trail that it comes up there. Their council has made that clear from what I understand.
The trail or the track?
The trail, the actual trail. So in my estimation, that means that it could come back to the council, and I don't think many people on the council have interest in funding that trail. So that's all I have on that. But I do think it's something we need to keep an eye on as this thing goes on. So move on, Mr. Vice President, do you have anything?
I just have one item, Mr. President. I'd like to thank all the employees and all those who participated and attended the past 2 days' insurance updates on our employees' health insurance. Commissioner Dillinger presented, I believe, 6 different times between here and the Sheriff's Department, and I commend all for attending those events. Thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
all I have.
Highway Committee, Rick?
We met today, and I think those items will come up throughout.
Finance, that's Brad, the one-man Finance
Yeah,
Committee over here.
I gave you what I had from that.
All right, Personnel.
We had a poll, and I believe that is on the agenda tonight.
All right. Okay, anything under miscellaneous tonight?
I would like to add or ask to amend the agenda to add, I don't know if the appropriate time would be under, where are you under so here, so then from.
I'll second your motion.
Thank you.
It's been moved and seconded.
I know there was discussion, I know that you had questions.
Yeah, I was not able to vote for it because there's a lot of questions that I would have for them on what's their budget, how many employees do
Is
they
this
have?
to amend the agenda, or is this
Yeah.
for?
This is amend the agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So the motion fails, 4-3. Now we'll move on to unfinished business.
Could I just real quick say something in the miscellaneous part?
Okay, go ahead.
Real quick, I don't have much information on Amy. I mean, I'd be happy to talk to someone and figure out what it is, but that's why I voted against it, because I don't know how many employees they have, what percent of their budget is the 10 grand. How long do they need public assistance before they're able to step up on their own feet and be able to run it their own? So those were the number of questions that I had, and during the budget hearing, no one was here to be able to answer that question from their group.
Had you just allowed the agenda to be amended, we could have made the motion in the second in order to have discussion, and they could have addressed those questions. But seeing that we haven't, we can move on.
Yeah, we can move
Okay,
on.
no problem. I
All
just
right.
would have liked to seen the budget beforehand. But also, Fred, for you're talking about the train thing you
Yeah.
met with. Are you talking about, there's a group in Noblesville, they're trying to do the train, keep the train in
They want to
Noblesville?
preserve the tracks from Logansport all the way downtown, basically, but.
Okay.
But that's the group that I saw was up in Noblesville. I didn't know much about it till I visited, and it seems to be a grassroots group. The two things that did interest me is they're running it, and it's not costing any taxpayer money, and none of the proposals they have cost taxpayer money. And Noblesville doesn't have any interest in funding that trail. Those are kind of two things that I just wanted to make the council aware of. Obviously, we need to confirm that with members of the Noblesville Council down the road, but I just think that we need to at least keep an eye on this thing. I think it's.
And I would say that's what
now.
was one of the concerns I had, was when we had the vote earlier about funding the north end. If I didn't want to give money up that way, if we don't know what's going to happen in Noblesville yet.
Exactly.
That was
That's
my
what we all
concern.
feel like.
Yeah, exactly, so.
Okay, I'm done.
All right, thank you. Unfinished business, seeing none, we'll move on to tabled business. Rainy day fund, additional appropriation for $250,000 for State Road 37 marketing. I'm going to make a motion to untable that.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, so it's untabled. I'm going to make a motion to amend this request to turn that money over to tourism for the same purposes of marketing. Madam Auditor?
Second.
Second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Wait a minute.
Is there any discussion?
Yeah, let's
Okay,
talk
go
about
ahead.
Yeah. So when you say turnover to tourism for marketing,
We sent the MOU, Chris has an MOU, and tourism, instead of having it go through Fishers, the county portion will go through tourism board. So,
If I may, I'd like to ask a question.
go ahead.
When was this decision made?
It's being discussed right
Okay. Chris, have you given this information out to the rest of the council to look at?
Well, somebody sent me an MOU to review.
Yeah.
And wrote back that, legally it looked fine. I mean, it's a policy call, but it looked fine to me.
Okay.
I guess what I would say, I need at least 30 days to probably review this before we moved on.
This thing's been sitting table for months. I mean, we can.
Right, but if there was information
I
provided by
don't
our
have the current
legal counsel,
information.
we didn't get that information, is all I'm saying, just so that we could
Exactly.
process it.
I haven't seen the MOU.
I haven't either.
And someplace in my mind says we gave Fisher some authority.
I don't think that's what we're
Okay,
doing.
I might be, I'm going from memory, not from facts. So I'd like to see MOU before I vote.
Okay, so you'd like to see MOU before, so basically, where are you at? What are you gonna say, Rick?
I would like to see the MOU as well, but I also thought that we had the commissioners involved, like with a contract basis, and they need to sign on and be part of that party, rather than us just giving 250 grand to tourism.
It's been sitting there. Either
I
it either
understand
goes
it's
to
sitting
Fishers
there.
or it
Yeah.
goes to tourism to do the same, to do the work.
But, Rick,
Or we vote it down.
what I'm hearing from you, Rick, is that you would like to see a contract from the commissioners,
Right, you want
how
to
we
see
spend our $250,000.
Well, right, have them involved with giving it to tourism and making sure tourism is ready to do the marketing for State Road 37. I mean,
Chris, can you get the MOU to the rest of the council?
Yeah, I
that
can.
you
I'm trying
did
to figure
with
out
your
where
comments
it
on
came
it.
to me.
I mean, I'm not ready to read it tonight. We're not going to read it
I
tonight.
didn't say we're gonna read it.
I'm just asking, lad.
At this time, I would make a motion to table.
All right, seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Well, that was fruitful.
Did we have to read,
What? Go ahead.
did we have to redraw the other motion, or did we have one or something?
No.
No,
just
okay.
retabled it.
Just retabled it.
Okay.
Okay, then there's the $750,000 loan request for 12 miles of tracks and restoration in Noblesville. Seeing no motion for that, we'll move on to new business. For approval of vendor claims,
So moved.
is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, amending ordinance 913-17C, an ordinance approving an additional cash change fund for the jail division of the Hamilton County Sheriff. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Seeing none. Ordinance 10-417A, an ordinance approving a cash change fund for the Hamilton County Parks Department.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Ordinance 10-1417B.
So moved.
Thank you. So there's a second.
Wait a minute.
This is the,
Wait.
this is C, right?
Yeah, it's C. It's D. No, we already voted on C.
We're on
Oh,
D.
oh,
We're on
sorry.
D.
Sorry.
10-417.
What project is this?
We're on
We're on D.
We're on D.
D. This is the flyover ramp in Carmel.
But the ordinance is B as in boy.
Right, but it's not additional appropriations, it's just the ordinance with the city of Carmel
For the flyover.
for the
Do you have a
flyover.
first and second? I mean, do you have a motion and a second?
I'll make a second. Is there any discussion?
I have
And
one.
what I thought I heard from, I'm sorry, Steve.
I'm just going to ask Chris if he's had a chance to look at this. You and Mike Howard worked on this together, is that correct?
Mike sent it over, I looked at it, it looks good to me.
Okay, that's all I have.
And Mike is still here somewhere? Yes. Okay. Because right before the meeting started, I had a chance to ask Mike a couple questions. Basically, we're just introducing this tonight, Mike,
Yes, because the ordinance approves the pledge.
and we're going to vote on it in November.
The ordinance essentially pledges the TIF as a backup revenue, or the COA as a backup revenue behind the TIF, and secondly, approves the interlocal agreement. A lot of exhibits, a lot of information in the interlocal, but if anybody has any questions, I'll be around almost every day between now and November 1st. So.
You got a lot of spare time, you're telling us.
Yeah, I do. I really do. I like to talk to you guys anyway.
So, one clarification, because when I got, just clarification. So, the COA is, the way I understand the backup to the TIF, the COA is like, in your opinion, like 125% to cover it, because I just got it, like, I just read it like at 4 o'clock, so could you just kind of cover that on the cost?
In Exhibit D kind of tells the entire financial story in the interlocal. And essentially, in that, we list the bonds that are outstanding. We list payments on the new bonds and what that combined is. And then the tax increment is the amount that we collected this year from that district. And what that means is what we are collecting is 125% of what the total debt service is throughout. And the reason that's important because that means you've got approximately over $300,000 a year extra cash coming in from the TIF if it stays the same. So your COIT doesn't come into play until comes into play only if there's not enough TIF to pay the debt service. Well, the 125% coverage gives you the 25% insurance to make sure you're not called on that.
Thank you.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Yeah, very clear.
Yeah. Mike, on that, just for devil's advocate, why are we committing our COIT rather than Carmel committing their COIT, just for fun?
That's kind of because we are the issuer. I guess we could change the interlocal, but frankly, one of the things, that's why we put the 125% in there. We could have sold the COIT bonds for 100% coverage, but I wanted to be able to look you guys in the eyes and say it's reasonably certain that you're not going to have to worry about it.
I have no problem with what you've done. I just wondered if there was because we're issuing the bonds, is that why?
Yes, your redevelopment commission, of which you're a member,
right,
has a bond ordinance before it first thing Friday morning. You probably don't want to read the bond ordinance. You'll put you to sleep.
Okay. But
that's why companies make so much doing it, right, Mike?
The basic reason is because we're the one doing the issuing.
We're doing the issuance, and but the pledge is important because you're really looking at reducing your debt service or your interest rate somewhere between 1.5% and 2%. So it's really important.
Okay, that's all I had.
I'll see everybody next month. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
We're not voting. Mike just said, we're just introducing it, right?
Yeah, you don't need a motion to introduce it? Is that what you're saying?
Right. We moved in a second, but we're not voting on it until
it's introduced.
Introduced.
Yeah, consider it introduced. Thanks, Rick. Now open public hearing concerning additional appropriations. County General Fund requesting $1,552,000. Amount available for additional appropriations $40,332,848. First one is a Clerk 144 amendment.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And the second is Commissioner's additional appropriation of $300,000 from Paul Ayers. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
What's the deal there, Paul?
There you
Okay, the deal is this. We passed this previously, same exact thing. It's for the Black Hawk Common Center and Apartments in Sheridan. Basically, the $300,000, if they get it passed, is going to go for the center there. And as I said, we did pass this before, the same exact thing. I see no reason not to do it again. I think there are people here that could speak to that. Is there anybody here that would like to?
Jennifer Miller's here.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim.
I have no problem with it, and I do remember us. But the question is, it's not a go project. Why are we funding it?
Previously, though, they missed it by just like a
Yeah.
tiny
Go
amount,
right ahead. Yeah, sure.
Sure. I can provide a little explanation. My name is Jennifer Miller. I'm the Executive Director at HAND. We're before you tonight to request the $300,000 from the general fund for the restoration of Hobbs Hall, which is the gymnasium at the former Adams Elementary School in Sheridan. This is part of a tax credit application. HAND is working on that application with WODA Group, and this is Nick Suruk from WODA Group, which is due in November. So the funds that we are requesting would only be turned over to HAND when the tax credits are awarded.
You got to prove you got somebody that's going to give you the money.
Basically, they are looking for a local commitment.
Okay, good enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Daughter played basketball.
Jennifer, I have a question, though, before you leave. In the documents, it talks about the Sheridan Community Recreation Inc. would give $5,000 for operating commitment. We're not on the hook for any other money besides the $300,000.
No, that is a private organization that handles youth sports in Sheridan, and they have committed, they would like to have use of the space for their programming, and so they're contributing that money. We
So
would
is
not be back in front of the county.
WODOT, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, would they be paying the utilities or the ongoing expenses there?
Right, that's essentially what their annual rent would be. So that's intended to go towards some of the maintenance costs and everything like that. Anything above that, we cover out of the project itself.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is, we're not writing them a check now, it's
No,
only
right,
if
we're
they get.
committing that we will if the project
Which is
goes.
what we did previously.
Yeah, and it was never appropriated. So
Thank you.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now we have corner interlocal agreement, additional $15,000 from Steve Schwartz.
I am a sponsor and.
I'll make a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there any discussion?
John's here, if anybody has any questions.
Go ahead.
For the boxes?
I understand there was some confusion on the interlocal agreement as to what operational expenses were.
Well, I don't think we're not there yet, are we?
Yeah,
Yeah, we are.
Okay,
First item.
okay.
And what those are is the hospital, on their part, is not providing manpower to do autopsies. We provide the manpower. Additionally, we use some consumables, needles, syringes, gauze, towels, that type of thing. And we pay for all of that ourselves. It's in the form of a bill that comes quarterly, okay? It's usually not very much. They tack it on to our morgue charge, which is $100 per autopsy. That's typically $300–400 for supplies. They're not supplying that, we are. Councilman Ayers had mentioned something about, well, what about power? They provide the electrical power for the cooler, and this is a joint venture because they'll be using that morgue as well for their deceased patients. So if there needs to be clarification, I guess this would be the point to put that in.
Yeah, I would
Mr. President, what are we discussing here? The interlocal agreement?
We're discussing the interlocal. And I think though, since there is some confusion on the language, I would like to make a motion to table it and let our attorney go through this interlocal and maybe tighten that up a little bit.
I'll set, yeah.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to table and turn this over to our attorney. All those in favor?
Aye.
I have a question. What is your time frame?
That's something I wanted to ask.
You didn't have discussion period.
Yeah, we did. We just did. Okay, so.
Okay, I'll withdraw. Second.
There you go.
What is your time frame?
The quoted price was based on us being able to mobilize and do it now before they leave that site. If you recall our conversation at the last meeting, that saves us $30,000. If they roll up and move their equipment, then we're going to have to increase this appropriation by $30,000 for mobilization and rehiring of crews.
At this interlocal, though, when we first saw the interlocal, it was specifically said when this was brought to us before we got it, that the county would not be picking up any of the ongoing expenses for that. And then the interlocal that comes through says specifically in the language that the county will be picking up those operational expenses. So that's just something that we should take a look at, I think, for everybody's benefit before we.
Can I recommend a solution?
Go ahead.
Resolution. A resolution.
A solution. Yeah, there you go.
Assuming you guys are okay with the cost that he's talking about, the consumer. And I think Robin and Dawn will be okay with this if you can approve it and let us sort of work that out and get it tight in here, and then they shoot the check.
So what you're saying is a vote for the money and come back and vote for the paperwork.
That, or just let us amend it to reflect what we're talking about.
We still have to vote on the interlocal after it's amended.
Robin, what was the proposal that you had sent us on that we might be able to do as far as voting on how we want it, and as long as, was it the board of directors at the hospital approved it?
Seth.
The only thing here is, I do remember, and that's why I brought it up, that he was under a time frame.
Right.
I don't disagree with you, Fred. You can't change the interlocal once you've showed it to us, Mr. Coroner. That's straight up. Fred's right on that. You can't show us one thing, come back another.
Exactly.
With a different thing. So, but I do realize that he's got this mobilization thing. We should do what, I think we should take our attorneys. Let me come back.
So we're approving this on a stipulation that this language gets cleaned up on this interlocal.
Right, yeah, I can live with that.
And then we gotta vote, we'll have to vote on that new language that's cleaned up.
Yeah, but if we go ahead and approve this tonight, it keeps the contractors on the site.
In discussion, I think the resolution of the funding of the $1 million that we're going to split, which really is $567,000 and change for us. That's should be the primary point. This other one, like Chris is using, tidying up, clarifying that little bit.
Basically,
I think they would be
cleanup.
comfortable.
Right.
Well,
You're
that's
basically saying-
what we suggested, and like what Chris is saying, approve it. We can hold the check subject to the acceptance of the Riverview and the Board of Commissioners of the operational revision.
And I'm okay with that.
That's fine, but I think the council still needs to vote on that interlocal after the
Well,
council
of
still have
course,
to
and
take a
we
look
could
at
bring
that.
it to you
Because
on
we'd have to
Monday.
have signature anyways.
If we get it with, I don't know, Mr. Howard, if we went ahead and we got that to Riverview and we got it to the commissioners at their next, do the commissioners meet before the 20 or the 16th? Or not till the 23rd? We could have it cleaned up by the 23rd, probably.
Capital to build the project. Why don't we go to paragraph 6 and strike out the county shall pay all costs of operating and supplying the morgue? If we cut that out, that takes the operations part of it out.
Yeah.
Good to go on that. He can come back and talk to you about that whenever.
Perfect. That was the only reason I raised that question. It says operations, and what I mentioned to him was like, what if they want a $50,000 new electrical system? But that's perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mike, before you leave though, if you're saying that come back, then would that fall under the complicated procedures in the back where you have a
On 11.
arbitration and mediation committee?
Talks about what, on section
No,
11?
What we will do, we'll have the CEO initial that strikeout.
Okay.
So you make a motion to amend by striking it out, we'll have him, CEO, sign it, the commissioners do it, then there's no dispute under the agreement because the agreement excludes operating.
Okay,
Consent of all parties.
okay,
How's that work?
that's fine.
Good. Great.
Work
Thank
for you,
you.
Chris?
Thank you.
So we need a new motion.
Thank you, Mike.
A motion to amend by striking out that language.
Motion
Yeah.
To strike that particular.
Strike
part.
paragraph
Did you make it?
That's the motion I'll make.
Okay,
Second.
seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And now, we can vote on it, right, as is? I'll make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
So we're voting on it
Thought we
as
already
amended.
did.
As amended, yeah.
As amended.
Yeah, that's
As
what we
amended.
just did. but-
Additional $15,000 from, now we're on.
Need to vote.
We need to vote on it.
Vote as amended.
As amended.
The
Yeah,
first
we
vote
voted
was
to
for the
amend.
amendment.
Right, and now we're
Second.
voting as amended.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Rob and Dawn, are you guys clear on that?
We'll have to go listen to the tape.
Yeah, Rick is on a roll tonight.
Clear as mud.
All right, now, additional appropriation of $15,000 sponsored by Councilman Schwartz. Is
So
there a
moved.
motion? Okay.
Second.
All those in favor?
I have a question.
What is that? Yeah.
John and I spoke briefly, and before I had a chance to talk to Chris Mertens, and Chris suggested that we table it because he did not have an opportunity to see what technology we could have rather than just buying heavy cabinets to store paper documents. I mean, because everything else we're doing is imaging, digitizing, and whether it's that or whether it's still microfiche, which is approved for 100-year storage, I'm, thinking that we need to look at that route. So Chris said he and his staff were willing to participate in that project.
They still do microfiche? I don't
We're
think,
moving away from it.
Slowly.
I don't even think we have a way to read microfiche at the county anymore.
Absolutely.
What, you got time to run it by Chris?
So I would move to table.
I can go by with Chris, but originally his department's the one that recommended I get with Farrar and what's their name? Van Arsdale and Farrar.
Yeah.
I got with them, and we got an outrageous quote to do our past records, okay? $3.2 million. And the problem is, when you get to the videos and when you get to the photographs of autopsies, microfiche won't do on that. Microfiche is either sepia or black and white. And if you look at CO 10-4 of the packet that I gave you at the last meeting, written documentation of complete autopsy and findings of the pathologist produced by the pathologist includes autopsy photos. Full autopsy report, non-disclosable at the discretion of the agency if applicable. Autopsy photos, video recordings, audio are maintained confidential. I have to keep those forever. Our records go all the way back to 1872. Now, obviously, back then, they didn't have color photography. Those are very sparse records. But since I've been involved with that department, and probably a decade before, color photographs have been taken at the scene and at the autopsy, and they must be retained forever. In addition, and I mentioned this to Councilman McKinney, I'm a little bit concerned on two things. One, if we ever had a fire, we're going to lose all those records that we are held accountable for. Two, same thing, sprinklers, rain, flood, anything like that. And we get about 4 or 5 requests a week to go back. The last one, I worked with your department, with the prosecutors people. Someone from 1993 wanted to open a case again. And we had to dig all that material out, and it was based on an insurance claim. You're digging through box after box after box, moving them to get to the records. If we had file cabinets that were fireproof, drip-proof, which those are that are quoted, then we could file them in sequence. Going forward, I'm more than willing to find some alternate method, but we need to protect the records that we have from the past.
John, there is no argument or no disagreement that you need to protect the records, but again, color photographs are not archival, they're not acid-proof, etc. So putting them in fireproof cabinets is simply keeping them from being burned up. They still will age and will decay, and I don't think a 30 days delay, if it's been years and years the way it is right now, is going to hurt to let Chris and his staff reevaluate and look and see if there is a cheaper imaging way to make it more efficient. Because I hear you about, heavy boxes, lifting it, and that sort of thing. I just don't want to invest in, quote, old technology. I'd rather go state of the art. So that's my 2 cents worth. So,
where would you put these files cabinets anyway?
Well, we had all the parts from the conversions on the Suburbans in racks out in the office. Those have been moved out. Steve Wood got those for me and relocated them, and we're turning those racks on end that are in the present office.
You're keeping them at your office?
Yeah. We have to have access to them.
All right.
Phone calls all day long.
I'm in agreement with Rick. Let ISS take one more look.
Okay, I'd move the table.
And you seconded?
I do.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Council, additional $900,000 from Councilwoman Masalamani. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
This is basically replenishing the non-reverting fund from the project that depleted the non-reverting fund prior to budget hearings, and we did discuss refilling that so that then he has the money within his, if you recall, the timeline of projects that equated out.
For ISS?
Correct.
Okay. Any more discussion? It's been moved to seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Judicial Services transfer.
So moved.
Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Buildings and Grounds. Transfer of appropriation.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wood?
Yes, I'd also like to give you a little bit of update and thank Mr. Jeters with this help with this. The banks came back with a 3% term and conditions on this project as presented. So I just need you guys to vote for you agree with the 3% as presented as it was presented to you.
Well, that's a savings of, what, 3/4, did we discuss 0.75% higher?
I think
You requested no higher than 3.65, and we got 3%.
and we had like,
Great.
never mind, forget.
Okay.
Is that in here?
Have a motion?
Still move.
Second.
All those in favor?
You had a motion.
We already had it. I made the
I need
motion.
to know if it was for 6, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh.
For 6, 1.
I'll make a motion. Let's just,
1 through 4.
yeah, let's make a motion. I'll make a motion to combine them.
Well, then I got a question.
All right.
I know you.
Second. So now, Rick, go ahead.
Is this supposed to include the performance consulting contracting agreement, or is this just FYI for us? Are we voting on this as well
No,
somewhere
you're not.
tonight?
That was just for your information.
Okay.
Is that, I need to see which one.
It's the.
Just the reason is that there are no exhibits attached.
Exactly.
Correct. That was for your,
Exhibits going to be coming soon, or are they not yet developed, or?
I guess, I need to see what you have, actually.
Just
I
strictly
have
the
like
contract?
7,000 pieces of paper.
Sure.
Oh, this is the one that you, on the conditions,
That the attorneys
that
reviewed.
the attorneys
Right.
agreed on,
Right.
which they
Yep.
both did.
Yeah.
We
And
said in a
that's
nice
great.
long meeting, yep, that's all squared away, Mr. Cheaters, and Mr. Howard, everything is as requested. Only thing is, we have the 3% agreement
Yeah.
versus 3.65. I just need acknowledgement for that from you guys.
Okay. The further question I had is, can we see the attachments? Can they be emailed to us or whatever?
I
I'm
can
just-
email you the full, yeah, everything.
I don't need 9,000 pages. I'm just looking for, the big page that says.
He will email you.
I know.
I will,
Steve,
yeah.
I know.
Yes,
Well, yeah, I see what Rick's saying. It says they're going to be responsible, people are going to be responsible for certain things, but it's not spelled out in the boilerplate. It refers to exhibits, which we haven't seen. So I'm like Rick, I'm not trying to hold up the show here. It's just that,
Well, wait a minute, so. Yeah,
Is that the base contract?
that is the original base contract.
It's, yeah.
Contract is 145 pages. A lot of the stuff you don't care about because it is a diagram of all the light bulbs that are being changed. That's 45 pages and stuff. I think what you're wanting is the exhibits that have language in them.
yes.
Right, like
And we'll
the
provide those to you.
Exhibit B says like scope, cost and scope of work. So there's a,
But basically, what he's asking for is as submitted, because that contract, Chris and I went to a meeting half of one day and got up early, and I even called Kurt at 7 o'clock in the morning one day and didn't know he was in Phoenix. But we got worked through everything and got we had about 4 or 5 changes. They agreed to them, and we're good to go.
And we all thank you. I think it's great that you and Chris were able to, do that, and appreciate Johnson Malo's, cooperation and their willingness to do it. I'm just looking for, when they say exhibits, I'm always looking for exhibits.
I understand.
And if no exhibits, then I ask, where are the exhibits? That's all I'm asking. Like Exhibit D says energy and operational cost savings listed. So that was a key point. So I'm just looking for that. Again, I don't want reams and reams of paper.
You will get them.
I think you did.
And then the other question is I know this is also maybe just to cover everybody's, what, it says that it covers 540 working days, but it's going to be totally operational long before that, correct?
Well, you gotta look at the whole scope of work. You've got all the lighting to get completed. Okay, you have the equipment coming in. I mean, all that could take up to that time frame.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we have to have the solar part done, and then
it's
you
not
have.
the solar, it's, if you're looking at the
Okay.
whole project.
If you're looking at the whole project, I mean, it could take.
Solar.
Okay,
The
thank
solar
you
is
for,
not-
portion.
right.
that's a
Take a bit less,
clarification,
yeah.
thank you. But the solar panels, we talked about the inner low connection, whatever,
So-
that's all, no time restraint.
Yeah.
You gotta go in front of the mic.
Kurt Schneider, Johnson Mello. Number one, let's just go very simple.
A little louder, Kurt,
I'm sorry. Number one, the council said $8 million contingent on 3.65. We came back and got 3%. It saves $35,000 a year and $647,000 over the term, which is great news. Second, the solar panels, after the approval and all the meetings by the councils were approved, it was done immediately on Friday as stated. And it is by by October the 19th, we're going to submit to the interconnection for Duke, and it will take 90 days for the panels. And as far as the agreement, as long as it goes, by next June, everything should be done, so.
Okay, thank you.
Duke did give us the commitment that if we have all the interconnection paperwork turned in by the 19th of October, that they will let us extend out to get this project finished to fall to save that $2.8 million.
Great, thank you.
Great
Thank
news.
you guys so much.
Super.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
ISS 2017-144 amendment.
So moved.
Is there a second?
This is only the 17, correct?
Yes, Rick.
I
You second?
second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
The 2018-144 amendment.
After talking with.
Is there a motion?
I would
So-
move to table.
Second. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Before I got interrupted, the strategy is to table the 2018s after discussion with the auditor, after we do the salaries, so
Okay.
next month or December.
That's what I was going for between the motion and the second.
And Robin, this was your recommendation?
Okay.
And I'll do it likewise for the other two as well when they come up.
EMA? Okay. EMA grant funding?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Transfer?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Planning transfer for $1.
So moved.
Second.
Lots of discussion there, right? All those in favor?
Aye.
1023 Hamilton County Airport Authority requesting $1,129, amount available for additional appropriation, $264,205. Sponsored by
So
Councilman
moved.
Beaver.
What is this, Brad?
Second.
Second.
Insurance.
No, the next one down, it probably is too. I think this one and the next one down.
Okay, Hamilton County Solid Waste requesting $8,100. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Hamilton County Solid Waste requesting $8,139, amount available for additional appropriation, $2,508,45. Councilman Brad Beaver. Is there a motion?
What was that?
So moved.
Hamilton County Solid Waste requesting $8,139.
It's the
Yes.
insurance.
Okay, I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Community Corrections Project Income Fund, a reduction of $461,252. Is there a
So
motion?
moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motor Vehicle Highway requesting $965,000, amount available for additional appropriation, $5,641,294. First is $65,000 from Councilman McKinney. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
What's that
Any
on, Rick?
discussion?
It's for our long-awaited sand storage area. They determined through Noblesville they need to have sprinklers, and they need to have some building design documents made, so this is to pay for that, assisting the documents for that, and to apply for the zoning variance.
We're
if
going to
they're gonna do
have
that.
sprinklers in the sand storage building.
That's what I was.
Still right,
Didn't mean
Brad?
to say.
Now, there's parts of this request, one of them.
And about half of that is for the assistance of a consultant to help with a variance needed, so we do not have to put sprinklers in the sand coverings.
They would determine to tell somebody that sand don't burn.
Well, it's because of its location to the salt barn, and it's a wooden structure.
And we're going to pay him to do that. Tell us the sand don't burn.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
Call the question.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Number $900,000 from Councilman Schwartz. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, what's that, Steve?
It's a community crossings grant. We have to pay this up front. We're going to be doing some paving on the east side of Hamilton County, and we will be reimbursed sometime in 2018, 50% of this project back. So we pay them up front, and we get 50% back.
Wait. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we're on F, correct?
No, we're on E2.
E2, yeah.
Sorry, I was like, wait a second.
We didn't combine them.
We're on the morgue.
All the
Sorry,
questions.
my apologies.
All those in favor, thank you.
Aye.
All right. Rainy day fund requesting $567,539, amount available for additional appropriation $12,808,000. Another one from Councilman Schwartz.
So moved.
This is the morgue.
Second.
What's that, Steve?
This is the morgue project that you heard earlier.
Okay.
Any more discussion? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Guardian ad litem fund reduction of $25 million. Is
25,000.
there a motion?
You meant 25,000, right?
Yeah, $25,099, yeah, the definite.
So moved.
Yeah.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Auditors, ineligible homestead fund requesting $404,000, amount available additional appropriation $936,000. Amy Masalamani,
So moved.
Second.
is there a,
To replace scanners that cannot be fixed.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Communications fund, 2017-144 amendment, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Rick, on this one, is it okay to go with 17 and hold on 18?
Exactly, yep.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
2018,
I would move table.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
4921 non-reverting communications fund transfer, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
8124 2016 EMPG fund requesting $10,000, amount available for additional appropriation $10,000, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Federal Highway Reimbursement Fund requested $25,109, amount available for additional appropriation $109,693 from Rick McKinney, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. What's this, Rick?
It's just money coming back from Federal Highway on projects we've already done.
Okay.
Specifically, it was 146 in ditch, and various other projects, so.
All those in favor?
Aye.
9104-1718 Community Corrections Grant, 2017-144 amendment, is there a motion?
So
Wanna-
moved.
Do we want
Just
to hold
No,
on?
no,
For
We want to
17.
hold on the 18 here
Correct.
too?
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion, we approve 17 and table 18.
Ooh, 2 for 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
There you go. 9107-1617 Community Corrections Grant, 2-year reduction of $378,566, is
So
there a
moved.
motion?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
9132, 2016 JDI Implementation Grant requesting $5,000, amount available for additional appropriation $5,000 from Amy.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. And now I will close the public hearing. Any announcements from the sheriff?
Nothing to report.
Council attorney?
Nothing.
I got a question for the.
Madam Auditor?
Yes, please. I just want to speak out to the people in the audience that put things on this agenda or send things to the council. Please get them to the auditor, and I would implore the council to do the same thing. If you guys, do things, please make sure we get it, because if not, it makes our job more complicated. Thank you.
Robin, did something happen tonight you didn't have?
I mean,
No, I want to make sure if we have copies of something you need.
right, so just, for the one instance that Chris thought everybody had, the one
MOU?
MOU,
Okay.
things like that. So, I implore that you guys please include us.
Gotcha, okay.
Brad?
I wanted to ask a question of the council attorney on the matter of the railroad. Is my understanding, and a couple of us were on this council when we bought the right-of-way for the railroad, that it was necessary for a train of some type to be running on the railroad so that we retained our right-of-way ownership. And I had a discussion with him outside the council. I wanted him to reiterate what he knew, that there's been legislation since that time that allowed rail banking. Can you kind of run that down, how that works, Chris?
Yeah, and I'm by no means an expert, but I've dug into it a little bit since this issue's been happening. And it was about in the early 80s as the rail service started to become more started to go away, Congress amended the National Trails Act to allow for, because obviously if you abandon rails, these revert back to the landowners, Brad, which is what you're talking about.
Right.
And so to solve that problem, because a lot of these railroads were not operating as much as they used to operate, Congress amended the law and allowed communities and owners of rail systems to basically bank those rails and turn them into trails. The statute says it's supposed to be temporarily until the rail service comes back. I don't know that they ever come back most of the time, but I don't know. But and so by converting it, by having the Transportation Department approve your banking, you can maintain those easements.
Okay, so that would, if that was approved, and you'd have to ask the Surface Transportation
That's right.
Group to approve rail banking, but you also told me that if you ask for that, let's say you have a rail line and you ask the Surface Transportation Group to allow you to bank it, didn't you also tell me that you have to prove that it's been abandoned?
No, I'm sorry, and I might have misspoke. If it's abandoned, it reverts to the landowners. So in other words, you can't let it become abandoned or else you lose the right to use the rail. And so to solve that problem, so that it wouldn't be abandoned, they asked for permission to, if you own the rail, you can ask for permission to bank it, which basically lets you turn it into a trail and maintain the easements.
So as far as we're concerned, as the county as a 1/3 owner of that right-of-way, that the decision by the Surface Transportation people as to whether you get to bank it or not is key to this issue, because if you do get to bank it, then I suppose that a partner in the right-of-way could bank whatever they thought they owned on 1/3. At some point, you got to determine who owns what.
Right.
But if they don't allow the banking, then you need to go back to, you got to keep a train running to preserve your right-of-way.
That's right. Yeah, that's my understanding, yes.
Okay. So as far as we're concerned, as far as I'm concerned as one counselor, no action should be taken by us until that determination's made.
Yeah, and then we'll have to talk about what actions can be taken.
Yeah.
I guess that'll
right.
be the next step.
I don't know how you own something with two other entities and decide your part banked, but we're looking to that Surface Transportation to make a decision. Thank you.
I have a question for the sheriff. I just had one question for our sheriff's representative. Do we have in place something that bans or prohibits drones from flying over the secure portion of the jail complex from the public?
There's new laws that have been enacted that prohibit some of that, but technically right now, no.
Yeah. Maybe we could pass this along to our sheriff, that maybe we should look into that. I guess in a lot of other counties across the nation, they've been using those drones to drop drugs, et cetera.
Yes, I know they've tightened up the laws in that area quite a bit recently, so.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
I wanted to follow up on what the auditor had mentioned. I think everybody got some notices from some BZA appointees want to be reappointed. So can we, Dawn, put this on the November agenda and we'll consider those November or December, be effective in January, right? They expire December 31st, right? Well, I mean, everybody who's up should be submitting them, but I'm saying these two individuals submitted them rather than, unless everybody wants to add them tonight and vote on them tonight. I mean,
No, I think what
She's saying
Dawn's
normally
asking
we
you
do
is,
it in the
don't you want to do them all at one time?
Right.
Right. But I'm saying we may not get any others. That's what I'm saying. Each of us may come up with people to appoint or recommend, and they would be submitting their letters of interest. And we
You're saying the ones we already got.
Exactly. That's what I'm just saying. Just so these don't slip through the proverbial cracks.
You want those on the record?
Thank you, Steve. Yes, exactly. And in addition, I think everybody may have gotten a copy from the Clay Township Regional Waste District. I didn't see the auditor copied on this, so can I give you my copy if you guys want this for the archives? They referenced an attachment, and there was no attachment there, so.
Anything else, Rick? Nothing else. All right. This meeting's adjourned. Thank you.